not recording? There we go. Okay, we're recording. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! So this is our catch-up for season 5, episode 2, Between Two Fires.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
I started last week.
You're making me start this week.
I
And
am
in case you guys are wondering, I actually am doing this in my car at my office, so that's why I'm looking like this with my jacket and everything. Anyway.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting on holiday in the Canary Islands.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I would be jealous too. For those who are watching it and going, "Oh, it's such an exotic place," it's not. British folk go to the Canary Islands all the time. It's really cheap. So yeah, it's lovely. It's great.
I'm wishing I was there. So
yeah, I am in shorts. All the windows are open. I'm wearing flip flops. It's fabulous. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I had to do it for my own mental health. Anyway, so Between Two Fires.
Okay.
What did
My creative ramblings of a restless mind.
Oh.
So Between Two Fires. So I love how do we get? There's something I want to end on, and so
you did.
So okay, so I poor Roger, poor Brianna. We've got that. We understand this is part of the issue, and it is part of the issue in the book as well. Yeah. Marsali is the apprentice is kind of new.
I know.
And I like it, but I'm wondering what's going to happen in the next book, next season.
So are they going to forego the whole Malva thing, or is Malva going to become another apprentice, or is Marsali just going to have so many kids she can't apprentice anymore?
They have to get Malva. That would make sense. Yeah. I think that would be a good way of doing it. I love that she's got the apprentice, but I mean, and Bree in the books helps her mom a little bit, but not much.
Yeah.
She mostly takes care of her own family, and Claire really does a lot of the work alone.
Yeah.
Which I guess isn't very interesting to watch. So maybe that's why they brought in Marsali.
Yeah.
And I just want to say once more, Scotland does not look like North Carolina at all.
Yeah. I appreciate their wanting to invest in Scotland.
I appreciate that too. And for people who've never been to North Carolina and the mountains there really aren't those sheer cliffs that you saw where Murtagh was hiding. But and if you've never been to North Carolina, you probably don't know what it looks like. So let me recommend going to visit. It's beautiful. You've got mountains, you've got water. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the Stephen Bonnet thing was kind of like, they don't show that in the book, that you don't read about. You read about it. It's hearsay about this is what he does, and it tells you what type of a person. But to see it actually happen was hard.
What, him becoming a gentleman, you mean?
No, him blinding the man.
Oh,
That is mentioned in the book, is that people heard of Stephen Bonnet, and they heard about him because he was in a sword fight with someone, and instead of killing him, he blinds him, and that's definitely in the book.
Yeah.
But it was all hearsay. It was Jayme getting a report, or Roger getting a report about him. And so you hear about what a horrible thing he does, but to watch it, that was hard.
I was just, I'm gonna wait.
I know. I was just like, blood. Yeah, but it was very effective, and I thought that was a good choice to show him there. I mean, Mary was there from Lord of the Rings. So that was kind of hard.
Last week, I was like, why didn't we just say Gerald Forbes or something like that? And then I was like, oh, yeah, everybody met Gerald Forbes. It's Mary or Pippin. No, Mary.
Pippin.
Mary.
Sorry.
Whichever from Lord of the Rings. Billy. What's his last name?
Yeah, he was in their last season as well. Yeah. So
we have already met Forbes, Gerald Forbes, and so he could have been appropriate. But yeah, somebody else other than Duncan Ennis if they were made. Okay, so speaking of Duncan Ennis and Murtagh, okay, so I'm a little brokenhearted about Murtagh being the tar and feather guy.
Yeah,
I mean, I know
but
he's
that was
a
set
later,
up.
and it makes sense, obviously, if he's doing that kind of thing, and it makes sense that they started with Hillsborough and all that kind of stuff. But I'm having moral conscience issues for Murtagh, being that
Well, I
person.
mean, Jayme does at the gathering protect the folks who are the regulators.
Mhm.
I mean, he protects the folks who do this type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
I know. It's not great,
I
but
just,
to see it is hard.
I don't know. It doesn't feel consistent with Marta's character that we've known thus far for some reason to me, but maybe I've just
Mhm.
loved him and pretended that didn't exist, which is also possible. But yeah, the Tar
I
and
don't think we've seen her to do this type of thing. I mean, we saw Angus and Rupert do this kind of thing,
yeah,
but we've never seen Murtagh really
like kind of
wage a.
cruelty.
No, we've not.
So, but I mean, tar and feathering was really common during that time. So, I mean, he's not killing
And
them, but he is maiming them for life.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
brutal. The
yeah,
tar is hot.
yeah. They're
Yeah,
burned.
yeah.
So yeah, I have issues with that. And I guess I should have foreseen. So this is me being probably a bit naive. Should have foreseen that if they were taking him down this route, then of course he would be. But yeah, I'm curious what's going to happen. Also, now given that, I'm curious what's going to happen. What his role is going to be at Almance coming up with Roger.
I think they're setting them up to be one against the other,
Yeah,
brother against brother type of thing. I think that's the setup, is that they will face each other off.
yeah.
And here's where this is the thing I wanted to say earlier, and I couldn't just launch into it. So thank
Okay,
you for that segue.
launch into it now.
Um, what?
Launch into it now.
Okay, launching. Okay, but first I've got to open it with a story. So I did Midsummer Night's Dream a number of years ago,
Uh-huh.
and if you guys know Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare, you've got the four lovers, and at the beginning of the play, the two men, Lysander and Demetrius, love Hermia,
Mhm.
and there's this one poor lonely woman named Helena who's in love with, I think it's Demetrius. And so Puck comes in. He creates a bit of a he plays a trick on them, and so both of the men then fall in love with Helena, and it leaves Hermia without anyone. And so she and Hermia, Helena and Hermia, get into an argument, a huge argument about the men and about how they now love Helena.
Mm-hmm.
So when we did this, the two women go at it beautifully, verbally, just, launch into it, scathing each other.
Mm-hmm.
But the folks that were doing the fight choreography
Mm-hmm.
thought that it would be really great and funny to have the two men duking it out behind them, because they didn't have the big long speeches.
Yeah.
And what it ended up looking like, and what it ended up, what it was is that the man who was doing the fight choreography thought that the two women going back and forth were boring.
Right.
And so let's put them, and so they stole focus from the two women, and they could have created, better blocking, a better situation, where it was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it was, two women are talking, we need men fighting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm thinking is happening with this.
Okay. How they're setting
And
up
it's,
kind of Claire and Marsali and the clinic, and then out fighting.
yeah, it's that Marsali and Claire and Brianna aren't interesting. And so what the arc of this season seems to be is the big battle.
But isn't it in the book?
And
I'm just thinking.
Well,
I'm not saying it is or it isn't necessarily.
but the battle ends. The battle never really happens
Yeah.
until there's another battle at the end. So this battle that they're setting up, and yes, it does. But in the book, you get it from everybody's point of view,
Yeah.
and Claire's participation in it is as equally valid and represented as Jayme's participation in it.
True.
That Brianna's participation at home and on the home front is equally as important and represented as Roger's representation is. And I feel a little bit like we're going to be losing out on Claire's spiritual and character development in lieu of watching a lot of men fighting with each other.
Yeah, I hope not. But we'll see. Yeah.
That's got me concerned. So I'm starting to see shades of that this is really only going to be about the battle. And I think it's more about, I think it's a little bit more about, it should be more than that.
Yeah, them establishing themselves at the ridge, being the people they are, and I can see how that could be possible. We're only 2 episodes in, so I'm gonna hold judgment on that, but yeah, I can see how it could certainly go that direction. So one thing I absolutely loved, the title card with the bread, because when it got to the title card, I was like, okay, between 2 fires, is it a baking fire and like trying to figure out exactly what the fires are.
Right.
And then I was like, bread, so what's bread? And I just didn't even connect it. And then, of course, when she started doing penicillin, I was like, oh my God, of course, the title card. Oh, that's great. That was brilliant. So, yeah, so I really love the title card.
So in the after conversation with the producers, they talked about this. Apparently, there is a line in the book that says that he's walking between 2 fires, and it's talking about Jayme.
Yeah.
And so they've pretty much put everybody between 2 fires throughout. Claire is between 2 fires. She can save people here, but not save people here. Bree is between 2 fires. She's between her family here and her husband who wants to go back to the 20th century. And the whole eye scene was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Between he and Claire. I loved that scene so much. It was, they work really well together. There's a good chemistry there.
Yeah. So we had, Mrs. Bug just kind of shows up, not unannounced, but just kind of, oh yeah, there's Mrs. Bug. Like, she's not been introduced. There's not been any sort of conversation about who she is or what role she plays, anything like that. So
I noticed that.
Yeah. So, okay. So last episode we got Duncan Ennis. Bam. There it is. Done. Now we got Mrs. Bug. Now they've also mentioned Morag Mackenzie. So Roger has dropped her name so that we know whenever she appears, we're going to go, oh, well, apparently, So I don't know. It's interesting how they're introducing characters this season that feels different from what they did before. I don't want to be the boring in the books kind of thing, but it does kind of feel like they're giving nods to book readers, but they're going to, well, I'm assuming they're going to be fairly significant characters going along, and they're just kind of unceremoniously sort of dumped.
Well, and Mrs. Bug is a big character. She and Arch Bug are huge in the book.
So eventually, are we going to get to know her and like what brought them there? I don't know. That was kind of like, huh, wow. So there she is. It kind of just felt a little strange to me.
So we did get to see a little bit of. I think we did get to see a little bit of Morag on the ship last season.
Yeah, we did. I completely forgot about
when Roger comes to.
Was he aware of
Yeah, so she was the woman with the baby, and she did hide her child.
That's
right.
That's right. I completely.
But it didn't get into the weird kiss or anything. I don't think we did that.
Yeah. I did a few quotes. I admire a man who puts duty and honor above all else. I thought that was interesting, particularly given our conversation we had in the podcast around duty and honor and oaths. And and that kind of stuff. I was also struck by Jayme sort of doing this two-face thing again, like he did in season 2. So he's telling people what they want to hear and being that person, meanwhile having an agenda to subvert the process the entire time,
Right.
which was kind of nice to see again, but also kind of man, I feel sorry for you. You have to do this again, kind of situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought the killing of the prisoner was a little quick.
Yeah.
I hadn't really gotten to know that particular general or that particular
Lieutenant Knox or
Lieutenant
Knox. Mm.
Yeah, I hadn't really gotten to know him well enough to yeah, I didn't get the sense that he wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And that this was a huge deal. So I guess I had some issues with that. I did like the autopsy though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we've got an intro to the fact that Claire should not be doing an autopsy.
Yeah, and everybody's gonna think it's sorcery or she's witched, burn her kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
Is she starting to write her book?
Yep.
That I thought was cool. I was like, that's great. The little nods to Roger's eyesight, him not being able to shoot, all that kind of stuff, which I loved kind of that character development in the book. So I was really glad to see that they're doing that in the TV show. Let me think. Was there anything else? Murtagh also walking between two fires too.
Yeah.
The whole conversation, obviously, given our interest around playing God between Claire and Bree.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I was so glad they did that.
Time, space, history, be damned.
Yeah, that was a quote.
It's got to save lives.
Yeah.
Just gonna do it.
Yeah, the future is affected by all our actions. It doesn't matter who we are. I was like, that's...
Yeah.
If anybody knows
that was nice
it would be you. That was cool. Cool. Anything else?
I can't think of anything. I'm looking forward to next week because the Beardsley's thing happens, which is kind of cool. Yes, I know.
Have a next week on Outlander.
You don't?
So, I'd have to go look it up online, so I haven't seen any previews. I have no idea what's coming next week. So
it's the Beardsley's. It's the Beardsley's, and it's the two boys, or the boy, you see at the beginning, and then it's the we've got Claire going, what's upstairs, and somebody going, don't go upstairs. It's just great.
Right. So Jayme comes home then, or does she go on her own?
I don't know. I didn't see Jayme as a part of that. Okay. So I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I think that was, I would appreciate if they have Jayme with her. That would be preferable, but I'm not sure if she goes out on her own to help heal somebody, or if they see, is it Haziah or Keziah? I can't remember the name of the Beardsley boy.
Well, we also get Adso, the cat, on the way home from the Beardsleys. So maybe
that's right.
Next episode too. So cool. Right, the wee cheese.
All right.
Okay, so we'll talk again next week, and we'll go over episode 3. So
enjoy your time in the Canary Islands.
I will. See you later. See you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Guys.